After having a bad day, taking her son late for school and getting fired by a client, she pours her rage onto a motorist. Little does she know that the man she's offended is a cold-blooded killer who will hunt her down and exact his revenge. On a cold, rainy night, Tom Cooper parks his grey truck outside his ex-wife's house. He sits in the truck for a while and takes some medicine. With a determined stance, he gets out of the truck and walks towards the house, wielding a hammer and a can of gasoline. As he enters the house, it's shown how he viciously attacks his ex-wife and her lover. He then pours gasoline all over the house and sets it on fire. Cooper drives away just as the house explodes. The following morning, Rachel Flynn wakes up to a call from her best friend Andy. He reminds her that they're supposed to be meeting that morning, making Rachel realize that she overslept and failed to set the alarm. Rachel has a son, Kyle, and is in the middle of a divorce with her husband, Richard. She lives with her brother Fred and his fiancée Mary. She's having arguments with Fred as she'd placed their mother in an assisted living home. Kyle comes into the room prepared for school, but is disappointed to see that she's not yet ready. Rachel promises to hurry and get ready fast so she can drop him at school on time. Fred complains about the housing facility their mother's in, but Rachel reminds him how their mother would get lost in her old neighborhood. The houses and the streets are interconnected, making it very confusing. Rachel and Kyle head out for school. On the way, they run into a traffic jam, frustrating Rachel. She decides to use the freeway even though Kyle feels it will make him later. Sadly, there's also traffic on the freeway. She gets a call from a client who fires her for always being late. A while later, the jam clears, but the truck before Rachel doesn't move even though the traffic light has turned green. Getting angrier, Rachel honks repeatedly at the driver and then drives around when the light turns yellow. In a small jam up ahead, the truck's driver pulls up to the car and asks Kyle to roll down the window. The driver, Cooper, apologizes for zoning out back there and wants Rachel to apologize for being rude. However, Rachel says she has nothing to apologize for. This makes Cooper angry as he feels that people are so entitled that they no longer feel the need to apologize for their hurtful actions. He tells her that she doesn't know what a bad day is, but she'll soon find out. This confrontation scares the mother and child so much that they drive away. Cooper follows them, prompting Rachel to take a turn, and Cooper lets them leave. Rachel drops Kyle at school and he tells her to ensure she picks him up on time. Rachel calls Andy, asking him to meet at a nearby cafe. Andy is a divorce lawyer and he's helping Rachel with her divorce. She goes to refuel at a petrol station and gets inside a convenience store to get some things. However, she spots Cooper's truck behind her car. She tells the cashier and another customer that the truck has been following her. The cashier calls the police while the other customer volunteers to walk her to her car. The customer stands by while Rachel leaves and warns Cooper not to follow Rachel. Suddenly, Cooper drives his truck and hits the customer, causing him to land on the road where another speeding car hits him. Rachel watches all of this in horror, wondering who the man she pissed off is. She tries looking for her phone, but she can't find it. Cooper catches up with her and shows that he has her phone. Rachel is scared and she drives away and hides in a parking lot, escaping Cooper. Meanwhile, Cooper shows up at the restaurant where Andy is waiting. He walks up to him and introduces himself as Rachel's friend. The two talk for a while about road rage, and then Cooper volunteers to call Rachel on Andy's phone. Rachel hears a phone ringing in her car and frantically looks for it. She finds the strange phone and receives the call, where Andy asks her where she is. She tries to warn him about Cooper, but Cooper has already taken the phone. Rachel asks him what he wants, and Cooper says that he wants her to apologize. Rachel says that she's sorry, but Cooper hits Andy in the face with a mug and then starts beating him repeatedly, saying that Rachel's apology isn't sincere. He curses him for being a divorce lawyer, wondering whether he knows how divorces affect men. He also asks him if he's just Rachel's friend or if he's having an affair with her. Cooper goes on a rant, expressing how bitter he'd felt after his wife left him. The news playing on the restaurant's TV showcases Cooper's murders and dubs him as a mentally disturbed person. Andy tries to defend himself, but Cooper grabs a table knife and stabs Andy, killing him. People in the restaurant watch horrified, but they don't move to help Andy, opting to just record everything. Cooper tells Rachel that Andy is dead. He then starts taunting her, reading her text messages and demanding that she tells him who to kill next. Rachel volunteers herself, but Cooper says that he's doing all of this so Rachel can learn a lesson on manners. Rachel tells him to kill the client who had fired her earlier. She then calls the police and sends them to the client's house. However, Cooper doesn't show up at the client's house. Meanwhile, Fred is watching the news of Cooper's murderous rampage. He calls Mary to come and check it out, but Mary doesn't respond. He hears a strange noise and goes to investigate, seeing Cooper's grey truck outside the house. Realizing that the killer he was just watching on the news is around, Fred grabs a knife and heads to the other room. He is horrified to see Cooper holding a beaten-up Mary. He tells Cooper to let her go, but Cooper pushes Mary onto Fred, causing him to accidentally stab her. Cooper calls Rachel to tell her that he has Fred. He asks her if she's ready to apologize and accept the blame for everything that's happened. He then tells Rachel that she has 3 minutes to pick up Kyle from school if she doesn't want him to kill Fred. Cooper has tied Fred to a chair and poured gasoline all over him. He tells Fred that he has nothing to live for and that all that drives him is anger and revenge. Rachel goes to school and demands that the principal give her Kyle. She then receives another call from Cooper, who wants to know whether she has Kyle. Rachel confirms and asks Kyle to say hello. Cooper then demands that Rachel put the phone on speaker and then forces Fred to start reading a letter, blaming Rachel for Mary's death. Suddenly, a police officer enters the house and holds Cooper at gunpoint, demanding that he release Fred. Cooper sets Fred on fire and pushes him towards the police officer. The officer is distracted momentarily, but he manages to shoot Cooper on the shoulder. Kyle finally understands what's going on and is horrified to learn that his uncle is dead. At this point, Rachel is tired of losing the people she loves, so she warns Cooper that she will end him. She smashes the phone so Cooper can't contact her again. Kyle suspects that Cooper must be using Rachel's tablet to track their location. He finds the tablet taped to the seat and quickly confirms that he was right. However, Rachel wants to use the tablet to find Cooper. She's horrified to learn that Cooper is on the same highway as they are. She looks around and spots a minivan belonging to her neighbor, suspecting that Cooper had ditched his truck and stolen the minivan. She also sees a police car in front, so she drives towards it, hoping to get the officer's attention. However, Cooper quickly deduces what's happening and hits the cop car, causing a major accident. He continues following Rachel. Rachel tries to call 911 for help, but sadly they are all responding to the highway accident. She then remembers her mother's confusing old neighborhood and drives there. Her knowledge of the area allows her to ditch Cooper and get to her mother's house. Here, Kyle presses the panic button and then rushes to hide in a closet space. Cooper drives through the neighborhood slowly and finally sees Rachel's car. He takes his medicine, but before he can exit the car, Rachel rams into him with another car. Rachel is shocked by the impact, but she gets out of her car and walks towards the minivan. However, she's attacked by Cooper, who then proceeds to the house. He calls out for Kyle, claiming to be a police officer. Kyle slowly backs up in the small space and accidentally hits some metal tongs, alerting Cooper to his location. Cooper quickly climbs the stairs to get to Kyle, but Rachel gets there first. She is dragged out by Cooper, who easily beats her up. However, Rachel doesn't give up and keeps on attacking Cooper. Eventually, Cooper hits her hard and then grabs a cord to start strangling Kyle. Rachel reaches out and finds her candy cane scissors. She leaps on Cooper and stabs him in the eye. Seeing that he isn't dead yet, Rachel pushes the scissors deep inside the eye socket, ending Cooper's murderous reign. The paramedics arrive at the house and Rachel is delighted to learn that Fred is still alive. She and Kyle get into the car to drive to the hospital. On the way, a car nearly hits them, but Rachel refrains from honking at the rude driver. Kyle agrees with her decision.